Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today we're looking at some source material that's really personal, pretty raw actually, and quite challenging. We're diving into a very detailed account of a near-death experience, an NDE, from someone we know as Nicholas G.
Right. And what makes this dive so unique, I think, is Nicholas's situation. He's living with terminal pulmonary fibrosis. His lung capacity is like only around 40%. He suffers from hypoxemia quite often. So he's quite literally living right there on the edge, on the boundary of life. That makes his encounters with mortality just fundamentally different from maybe a more typical NDE account.
Yeah, that really sets the stage, doesn't it? So our mission today is to look at how this kind of repeated, really intimate contact with mortality shifts how someone perceives death itself. Because the real hook here, the really interesting part, is that this NDE wasn't just a one-off event. This was one of four intense experiences he calls dry runs. And they all happened within just 2 weeks.
4 times. Incredible.
It's an extraordinary chronicle, really, exploring that final barrier.
Okay, so let's unpack this, starting with the immediate trigger, the physical part. Unlike some NDEs that might be linked to shock or, sudden trauma, this one was caused by something very real. Suffocation.
Actual suffocation.
Yes, his nose clogged up and crucially his mouth knit open so he couldn't draw breath. The body was simply, well, shutting down.
And what's fascinating is how his mind handled it, psychologically speaking.
Yeah.
Because he was asleep, right?
Exactly.
So the suffocation initially just got woven into his dream. He described trying desperately to flag down these dream people, telling them he needed air, but they just ignored him. He couldn't tell the problem was actually physical, not part of the dream.
And as his body started failing, as he went deeper into that oxygen crisis, the source material describes this methodical, systematic change in what he was seeing. The color just started to drain out of the dream world.
Like a dial turning down.
Sort of, yeah. The more the body failed, the duller everything became. It's almost as if, consciousness uses color to gauge vitality.
And that's where it gets really intense. It didn't just get dull, it went further.
Much further.
Everything turned an ashen gray. He said it wasn't a slow fade, but a sudden methodical draining. A visual representation of his life force just ebbing away.
And his thoughts slowed down too, significantly, until everything, and this is really the core of that physical experience, quite literally froze in place like a gray snapshot that felt as completely dead and lifeless as I did.
A gray snapshot.
Wow. That feeling, the body stopping and consciousness watching itself stop. He described it as being as mercifully brief as it was horrific. That mental stop, that gray snapshot. It must be the ultimate dread, right? Seeing the void before any kind of spiritual shift can even start.
It sounds like that absolute rock bottom moment. The physical struggle just ends.
But it was brief, he said. Mercifully brief.
So how did he get out of that? That static, terrifying gray snapshot. What kicked off the change?
It was instantaneous. Triggered by something simple. Gentle urge, really, just to look up.
Look up.
Yeah. And the only thing in that whole dead gray landscape that still had any color, any life, was the sky. It was a nice, bright blue.
Just the sky. The contrast must have been incredible.
Totally jarring, I imagine. And that single glance upwards started this huge cascade. That was the pivot point, moving from physical dying to, spiritual ascent.
Okay, so the source mentions 4 specific things happened the second his gaze shifted up.
4 things, instantly. First, lucidity. Clear thought just snapped back. Second, he felt alive again, truly alive. Third, that dead gray landscape, gone, faded away.
Okay, lucidity, feeling alive, gray fades. And the fourth.
And the fourth is maybe the most profound, the spiritual pivot, the human personality, the ego. It just switched off, like flipping a switch, leaving him, the person, the consciousness, free to just be self as spirit.
Wait, the ego switched off. That sounds like total freedom. But if the personality vanishes, what's left to, guide the journey? Is it just pure instinct then?
It seems like it might be. The ego, that's the framework we use for linear life, right? For time and the physical world. Once linear time and the body aren't the main focus anymore, maybe that framework isn't needed.
So pure spirit takes over.
Seems so. And the journey started right away. A tunnel formed overhead drew him in quickly, and his consciousness, now just spirit, focused itself during that travel by repeating, God, God, God.
Let's talk about what that looked like, this transition.
Yeah.
Because it sounds like such a contrast to the gray horror he just left.
A total contrast. The tunnel walls, he said, were pure black. But they were encircled by this beautiful gold light pulsating through and encircling the tunnel. Sounds incredibly dynamic, doesn't it?
Pulsating gold light.
Yeah, and the feeling, the complete opposite of dread. The flight itself was entirely pleasant. And what really makes Nicholas's account stand out here, moving into this phase, is the repetition factor.
Right, this wasn't his first time.
Not at all. He'd actually been through this exact scenario twice before just that week. He even described himself as feeling like an old pro when it came to the tunnel.
An old pro?
Yeah.
That's startling. That level of comfort with leaving the body, does that familiarity make it less profound? Or does it maybe suggest this spiritual reality is actually, I don't know, consistent, accessible?
I think it leans towards the latter. It suggests it's not some random, chaotic hallucination. It seems more like a reliable process, a repeatable protocol. He didn't have to figure it out each time. He just went back to a place he already knew how to navigate. And that familiarity allowed for real focus.
And that comfort, that old pro feeling, it leads to this really interesting paradox about his body awareness. He was strongly aware his physical body was back in the bedroom, flailing around, he said, and nearing its end. He basically concluded it was essentially a husk.
Just a husk.
Yeah. But despite knowing that, he decided to continue the spiritual journey. He felt no need to breathe. That, he figured, was the body's problem, not mine.
That's definitive detachment, isn't it?
Yeah.
Purely spiritual focus. And he achieved maximum clarity there. The further he went down the tunnel, the clearer his thoughts became, reaching what he called ultimate alertness right at the end of the tunnel.
And time dissolved.
Completely. Everything just existed in the infinite now.
Wow. The infinite now. So the only thing connecting him back to linear time, to past and future, was just this dim awareness of his body back in the room. Almost irrelevant.
Exactly. And then you get the sensory expansion. His senses became incredibly more vivid than usual. His vision, he said, was way beyond what he normally experienced, even with bifocal.
Better than normal vision.
Far better. But we have to pause on this next bit because it's just extraordinary. His hearing was profoundly enhanced. He said he heard the colors as they and I flew through the tunnel.
Heard the colors. Synesthesia. Triggered at peak consciousness.
Seems like it.
That one detail just challenges everything we think we know about sensory limits, doesn't it? What does that say about our brain's usual limitations if that kind of cross-sensory thing is just sitting there dormant until the moment of departure?
It really suggests that our normal waking state is an incredibly filtered experience, highly constrained. The state he was in, it was being more conscious, not less. He was integrating information in a way the physical body usually prevents.
Right.
It really backs up the idea that the tunnel journey is an acceleration of awareness, not a shutdown.
Okay, so after this incredible ascent, enhanced senses, hearing colors, where did the journey lead? What was the destination?
He describes reaching a specific point. A sudden, massive wall of brilliant golden light, huge, described as maybe 500 feet tall and just as wide.
A wall of light.
Yeah, he called it the point of no return, the veil.
The veil, and his clarity was absolute at this point.
Totally. He knew definitively that passing through that veil meant the immediate physical death of his body. Crossing over meant it was over, full stop.
And yet, despite knowing that, knowing it was the final threshold, there was this pull, wasn't there?
Oh, absolutely. An almost indescribable feeling of goodwill, pure happiness, just radiating from the other side. He sensed this massive surge of feeling like the spirit world is a very happening place. That's his phrase.
A happening place.
Yeah, and he felt the presence of many friendly souls just beyond that light, actually preparing to welcome him.
So the pull must have been immense. Total bliss, welcome love.
The allure was total. And yet, and this is the ultimate paradox of this whole thing, he chose to return.
He chose to come back.
Chose to come back to his failing, suffocating body. Why? Because he thought it would be a shame to arbitrarily relinquish an otherwise marginally serviceable body.
Marginally serviceable. He's standing on the brink of infinite bliss, and he calls his body marginally serviceable and decides to keep it.
Yeah.
Driven by duty.
Exactly, duty. He explicitly said he felt he would be shirking a duty to this physical form and actually offending God by leaving too soon. He called it the height of irresponsibility.
Okay, hold on. That needs unpacking. How can he, moments after his ego supposedly switched off entering the tunnel, still hold on to such a deeply human concept like duty and irresponsibility?
Well, the source material links it back to his own spiritual framework, which provides the context.
Ah, okay. Tell me more about that connection.
Nicholas identifies as a Buddhist, and for him, the experience actually confirmed a central idea from that path, that this physical plane is an incredibly dense state of existence, a state where our innate spiritual abilities are kind of suppressed, creating this illusion that we're separate from God or the ultimate reality.
Okay.
So the duty then isn't really to the body itself, like the physical machine. It's more a duty to the mission of this particular incarnation, this life.
Ah, I see.
He felt like he had a contract, you could say, that he needed to see through properly, finish the job.
So the decision wasn't about physical attachment or fear of the unknown, but more like spiritual prudence, a commitment to finish this specific life's purpose, even in this dense state.
Precisely. And this sense of duty, this commitment, it was tested almost immediately.
How so?
He woke up, but only for about 10 seconds, just long enough to realize he was still alive. Then he fell right back asleep and instantly found himself right back in the tunnel. The suffocation must have started again immediately. The whole trip back to the Vale, he figured, took just 10 seconds that time.
Wow. Back again in 10 seconds. That really confirms the old pro thing, doesn't it? And the consistency of it all.
Absolutely.
So what was different about this second super quick visit to the Vale? Did anything change?
This time, yeah. At the Wall of Golden Light again, he received something extra, almost like a reward for his decision to return the first time. He got these distinct images, visions of what was waiting for him if I finished this incarnation properly.
What kind of images?
He described seeing morphing clouds that turned into these grand halls and incredible vistas, like a little preview of the spiritual reality he was patiently agreeing to wait for.
So these multiple dry runs, they gave him undeniable knowledge. They answered that huge question, what exists beyond death for him, right?
Yeah.
In no uncertain terms.
Absolutely no uncertain terms.
What was the main takeaway? The ultimate knowledge he received from all this?
The core truth, the definitive knowledge was that we are all loved unconditionally and infinitely. That was the message. And flowing from that, his conclusion was there's absolutely no reason for anyone to fear death.
No reason at all.
That certainty, gained over multiple trips to the Vale and back, has just fundamentally changed his outlook on his remaining time.
So the fear is gone, replaced by, what did he call it? Excited anticipation.
Excited anticipation, yeah. And just as a little external confirmation, maybe, that he made the right call, he mentioned repeatedly seeing this Pinterest card pop up.
A Pinterest card.
Yeah, with a specific message. It's worth it. Your patience will be rewarded. Keep showing up, reassuring him about his choice to return and be patient.
That's quite a synchronicity.
Isn't it? So if you pull all these threads together, the initial gray dread, the suffocation, then the tunnel, the acceleration of consciousness, the hearing colors, the unconditional love at the Vale, it all seems to reinforce this idea that physical life, even though it's described as dense and difficult, holds some unique, really critical purpose that, well, needs to be honored. His Buddhist background seemed totally consistent with the experience to the idea of oneness, the density of this plane.
So ultimately, this source material maps out a profound transformation. Nicholas goes from facing this cold action dread of physical extinction
Terrible.
to feeling this profound, infinite love. And it culminates in this excited acceptance of whatever time he has left. He saw returning to life, even a difficult life, as a matter of prudence, of duty, even with eternal bliss right there, just moments away through that golden veil.
Which really brings us to the final thought for you, the listener. If you knew with absolute certainty, with that kind of maximum clarity he described, what was waiting for you beyond death, would that knowledge fundamentally change your definition of earthly responsibility, of duty? What would that mean for how you live now?
Something to think about, definitely. We'll leave you with that till the next time we dive in.
Thank you for listening to Borrowed Time NDE Podcasts. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell so you'll never miss a moment of inspiration. Until next time, wishing you an extraordinary and truly wonderful time on your journey through life.